Does Cooper Kupp make sense? The answer, it could be yes. One of the reasons, though, to counter it, I think we can kind of push in the back, might also make you want someone specific on draft day. Plus, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while, and we got to check in on a Texan that we don't really talk about, but finds himself in an interesting predicament. It is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Cody, we'll start it off the way you like to start it off. The Texans have signed a guard. Tell us everything you know about the newest member of the offensive line.
Well, they traded for a guard. They traded a future 6th-round pick. They had 2 next year, so they traded 2026 6th-round pick for Ed Ingram from the Minnesota Vikings. Ingram got benched in week 11 last year and never got his job back from the Vikings. And based on everything that I could quickly learn from the people in Minnesota that covered him, he's essentially purple Kenyon Green. Like that's basically what he is. He was a high draft pick, not as high as Kenyon Green.
Second-round pick.
But a second-round pick. He came in. He started. He's played less and less football each of the 3 years. He's never particularly been really good at any one thing. He had a little bit more run-blocking success, according to the Pro Football Focus people, than Kenyon Green did. But he doesn't pass block well. And this is a reclamation project for the Texans. And it's a body. And I'd be shocked if he ends up making the team. But, hey, just because a guy wasn't any good elsewhere doesn't mean that he's going to be bad at your place. It also doesn't mean that he's going to be better either. He might just stink. All right? So Nick Caserio does this quite a bit. He likes to give guys that maybe he never got a chance to draft or didn't draft, but still maybe liked them. He likes to kind of give him another little shot there. And it feels like this is the thing with Ed Ingram, that maybe he'd have given him a shot if things had shaken out differently in 2022. But now he gets to give him a chance after 3 pretty disappointing seasons in the National Football League. So I wouldn't expect a lot. You still need bodies. You still need guards. And we'll see what Ed Ingram can do in his second stop in the NFL.
All right, this may surprise you, but later on in the show, I got 2 offensive line topics. I have a guarantee.
You got a fever or something?
I have a I did. I have a guarantee that the offensive line, something will happen this year that didn't happen last year. And I'm also doing something that I never thought I would do. I'm doing something that I thought those days were over. We'll get into that a little bit later on.
One more thing, and again, if the guys are better or they end up not playing for the Texans, this doesn't matter, but I did find this sort of hilarious from Yahoo's Nate Tice. The Texans jettisoned the guard that allowed the 3rd highest one-on-one pressure rate amongst all guards in Kenyon Green and acquired the guards that ranked 1st and 4th in highest one-on-one pressure rate allowed. So
it's not great.
Let's see what, you know what? That's okay though, because Dante Scarnecchia Jr. is the offensive line coach here. Cole Popovich, the next great O-line coach. He's going to fix these guys. Landry.
All right. Let's talk receiver. The Cooper Kupp thing, I'm starting to really buy into. When I did the stream last night, I talked about this, and I actually have some data that connects Caserio and Kaylee to making it work with 2 slot receivers. And I'm going to preface this by saying, if you don't want Cooper Kupp here because you think he's washed up, you think he's not good anymore, and you think he's old and can't stay on the field, then have at it. That is 100% valid. That cannot be countered or really proven until he steps on the field and we see what happens with Cooper Kupp. So the washed, all that, it works. The one thing I think that does not work is the notion that you can't succeed with 2 guys who are primarily slot guys. I think that is lazy. I think it's stupid. And I think that especially here, based on 2 guys that are going to be making the decisions, it doesn't make any sense. And I'll start with Nick Caserio. Nick Caserio in New England, they were the king of having multiple slots. They were the king of having multiple guys that played the same position and did multiple things, and using those guys at the same time. And we go back to 2009. In 2009, the Texans had And I can bring up the actual.
I got it up for him.
Okay.
Pats,
2009, the Pats had Wes Welker and Julian Edelman, and it seemed like they were heading towards using 2 slot guys, and that was going to be their future. But in 2010, and this was with Caserio, 2010, they had the best tight end draft that the league has ever seen, and they got Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, and they started transitioning to 2 tight, which a lot of people might be opposed to as well. Where why would you already have a tight end? Why would you take another one? Well, because in 2011, Gronk and Aaron Hernandez combined for 169 catches,
nice,
over 2,200 yards, and 24 touchdowns.
Pretty good.
So they kind of punted on that slot thing for a while, the 2 slots, but they went to the 2 tights. 2012, Hernandez got hurt, and then in 2013, we kind of saw the reemergence of the 2 slots. This time with Welker gone, it was Edelman and Amendola. And 92, 27, 972, 200, and then 5 touchdowns. 2015 is where Nick Caley arrives. Now, I'm not saying he had any influence on this. I'm just saying this is what he observed. He kind of observed the peak of Patriots 2 slot guys thriving, where his first year in New England, Amendola and Edelman combined for 126, a balanced 126 receptions, over 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. And then in 2016, they tried to go back to the 2 tight with Martellus Bennett and kind of went off. So Amendola left in 2018, and that was the end of the Patriot thing. I bring all that up because Caserio was there, and Caserio has the experience, and Nick Caley observed 2 slot receivers working together and effectively doing things. So then we bring Cooper Kupp into the equation, and I think this is relevant for a number of reasons. Robert Woods was a slot guy that at the time had a lot of speed, kind of like Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's like not your traditional slot guy. He has a little bit more explosiveness than your typical slot guy, much like Robert Woods. And Cooper Kupp's clearly not the player he is. But if you look at these numbers that Kupp and Woods were able to put together, and I pulled up an article where they were both ranked in the top 10 in the slot in the same season. And you had Kupp with 62, Woods with 56. Then it went from 86 to 40, but Kupp got hurt. And I think this is important because when Edelman got hurt, Amendola stepped up. When Woods got hurt, when Kupp got hurt, Woods stepped up. And we're going to see Kupp step up for Woods as well. So these guys not only play well together at the same time, the play of the guy behind the guy who gets hurt always elevates significantly when they get hurt. Then 2019, they're back together. You see the numbers, over 180 catches, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. And then in 2020, clean split right there. And then 2021, when Woods goes down, Kupp has 145 catches, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns. So I'm saying all that to say that 2 slots can work, and Cooper Kupp has made it work. This does not eliminate the washed up mentality or anything like that. And I actually pulled up a tweet from a Lions fan that the Restore the Roar and look these numbers up. This was Puka and Cooper Kupp on the field at the same time. And it's a small sample size of 8 games. But if you look at this, and this is when Caley was there, the Rams offense with Stafford, Puka, Kupp, and Kyron Williams on the field in the same time in 2023, EPA per play first, drop back EPA first, drop back success rate first, rushing success rate first, points per drive first, stats per play first, and rush EPA first. I would say that's pretty good. 8-game sample size. Mm-hmm. When Nick Caley arrived in LA, they already had Cooper Kupp. So this is where we bring the Caley experience back. The first year he's in New England, they have the 2 slot guys. That's kind of the peak of New England. When he arrived in LA, they already had Cooper Kupp. They then drafted Puka Nacua because they really liked him and they thought they could figure something out. And he had one of the best rookie seasons that a wide receiver has ever had. 9 times out of 10, he's the offensive rookie of the year, but you happen to have CJ Stroud doing what he was doing with the Texans. But they had Puka. The next draft, and he was only with them for 2 drafts. The very next draft, they still have Puka, they still have Kupp, They draft Jordan Whittington in the 6th round out of Texas, who's a slot guy. That's what he is. He's a slot guy. And in training camp, they bring in undrafted rookie free agent Drake Stoops as well, who is only a slot guy. So Nick Caley, I say all that to say, Nick Caley has been in situations where they have a high value of slot receivers, and they have a high value of multiple slot receivers doing things at multiple times. And that's also kind of Nick Caserio's background as well. And if you aren't subscribed to the theory that Cooper Kupp is washed, but you are subscribed to the theory that it can't work with 2 slots, his body of work completely squashes that, completely dunks on it, and eliminates any notion of that. And the good news is this: if you're not in on Kupp, I think this data and this data and those backgrounds with the 2 NCs, Nick Caley and Nick Caserio, I don't think you should eliminate Ibuka or anyone else that might be primarily a slot receiver in the draft as well, because I think they can make it work.
I went and so as you were going through this last night on the stream, and as you kind of have gone through this here, I wanted to kind of go through and like kind of add a little bit more context to the homework that you did. The thing that I think people forget about, hey, this guy's a slot wide receiver, hey, this guy, it's not a slot wide receiver, is they still play inside and outside. They still line up inside and outside. And Kupp, why primarily was in the slot 2-1 in LA, he still lined up outside for LA a good amount. You know, still almost a third of his reps most years were outside reps. So it's not like this guy can only win from the inside. It's not like this guy can only win from the outside. There's a lot of everything that you put together combined with everything that's out there about Kupp today. Like, this didn't really make me comfortable with Kupp as much as it's made me comfortable with another guy that can play in the slot. Like, I don't necessarily know that this made me want Cooper Kupp as much as it made me okay with adding a player who has the slot ability to his game. And really, as you put all that data together, it's like, hey, 2 guys that can play in the slot really works. All it really did was make me want Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. That's what it really made me want.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. That's part of it too.
Egbuka can play outside. Egbuka can play inside. Kirk is still a 1-year deal, by the way. Like, he's still on the final year of a contract. Until that changes, I still have an eye for the future when it comes to the slot. And at this point, after a Christian Kirk trade, if they went out there and spent $14-15 million on Cooper Kupp or $12 million on Cooper Kupp, I'd be sitting there going, well, damn, why didn't you spend $9 million on this guard? Or why didn't you spend $12 million on this guard? Like, I'd be a little upset, because that's the rumor, is that teams think Kupp's going for about $12 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also we know how stupid this is. Oh, well, he'd like to play on the West Coast, Mike Girardi said after the Patriots. Well, then that means there's a non-West Coast tax, because remember, DK Metcalf wanted to play in warm weather, and then he got $30 million a year from the Steelers, so he shut the hell up about that, and even had his agent try to put out there that, oh, that was misinformation. Yeah, nice try. So like, Kupp feels like he's going to be more expensive. If this was like a less than $10 million a year deal, sign him up, get him in there. The other aspect, too, is I do worry about the overall durability makeup of the wide receiver room if you have Cooper Kupp and you have Nico Collins, and Christian Kirk's had 2 freak weirdo injuries the past 2 years. I do worry about the overall durability, whereas I flip it over to Emeka Egbuka, and I'm like, oh, okay, he had like a surgery, was out for like 2 weeks after an ankle injury, and that's basically the only time that he missed at Ohio State, and he even played hurt through a lot of his time at Ohio State. Like, again, this didn't really sell me on Kupp as much as it sold me on, I'm willing to listen on a slot guy, and that's not just Emeka Egbuka. That'd be my preference, but that would, if they're comfortable with 2 slot wide receivers, that puts Luther Burden from Missouri back on the table as well.
Yes,
who played a lot of slot out of Missouri and is super explosive out of the slot, by the way. So that's really what it did for me. It just made me comfortable with a multi-slot option more so than, yeah, I really want Cooper Kupp. I was in on Kupp until they got Kirk, and now with the financial commitment, I'm just not as in on him as I was, early on in the process.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, look, if if you don't want Kupp because of the reasons you say, that's fine. But 2 slot guys, I think that myth is at least squashed, no matter where you sit on it. And I think this would probably be some useful information. Like if he does want to go on the West Coast, then I think you could use this information in Seattle for justifying him with Smith and Jigba. I think you could use it with the Chargers, justifying him with McConkey. So there's those scenarios. I just think the notion that you can't use 2 slots, I think it's silly. And I think it's even sillier given the 2 NCs that are here that are making the calls.
Yeah. And look, maybe there's an element of, and I went through this, and I'm going through this for Houston football, and it'll be in the people's inboxes in the morning. And I went through it on the stream yesterday. Like Caserio's history with O linemen and Kaylee and Popovich's history with O linemen gets me a little intrigued with maybe what they may do with this offensive line as well. And it kind of lent itself to, even though they have traded for Christian Kirk, they might still be adding to that wide receiver room and taking another swing there as well. So that's an intriguing element of like, what's these guys' history? What did they learn from it? What did they like about what they're, because none of these guys called the shots at their previous stops. Like Belichick was the final guy. Caserio wasn't the GM. Like Kaylee was the tight end.
But if you observe something,
right,
even if you're not the shot caller, when you see it,
but
and you observe it, I think there's a factor there.
And look, when you're not the boss, but you have one day want to be the boss, you're always thinking, okay, the boss did it this way, but if I was the boss, I'd have done it this way. So I do wonder if there's a lot of that for Caserio, even Kaylee and Popovich as well, because they're all kind of in the boss roles that they never got to in New England for a variety of reasons.
Yep. So the Cooper Kupp thing, the Ibuka, I agree with you. The Ibuka, like you don't dismiss Ibuka because Christian Kirk's in the slot. That's crazy. That's silly. That's dumb.
And I know some people don't love this aspect. Like Ibuka is the perfect Houston Texans personality fit.
Yeah, we know that.
Like that is a major thing for them. They want guys in the building that they like and they can trust, that aren't going to make mistakes away from the football field, that are going to work hard. Like Ibuka is the perfect personality fit.
He handed out thousands of Bibles at Ohio State at night.
Oh, by the way, he ended up as one of the most productive players ever at Ohio State. He's the all-time receptions leader. He's the all-time yardage leader. And only 20 players have scored more touchdowns than Emeka Egbuka at Ohio State. So the data that you have is for the slots, and it was maybe could Kupp work? It didn't make me want Kupp. It made me want Emeka Egbuka when it was all said and done.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm more open to that too. I never really was dismissive of it. Trill Kick X says just pull a Bobby Slowick and put Dalton Schultz at left tackle.
Damn it, Bobby.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of blocking asked of him. Jeremiah Chavez says there's still any trades that we would want to see. Cody, really hot wings for Food Review Friday.
So we're gonna have rodeo food for Food Review Friday tomorrow. I went out there, tasted some rodeo stuff. So we'll get the Food Review Friday rodeo stuff tomorrow on the stream.
Oh yeah, I saw one of your decisions, and that was just pathetic. That was just a waste of money.
That wasn't a
embarrassing, gimmicky ass decision by you. That was pathetic.
So I didn't make any of these decisions.
Cotton candy.
I didn't make any of these decisions on my own. I took the input of the people, what they wanted me to taste, and so I went and tasted it.
Bacon wrapped cotton candy. Terrible.
Correct. Yep. Wait for the food review tomorrow. Maybe I liked it. Maybe I didn't.
Evan says getting rid of Laramie was a great move. We've talked about that quite a lot. We don't have to really reset anymore on Tunsil.
Tunsil posted a farewell to Houston on his Twitter.
Yeah, let's check that out. Let's get the It's All Love Houston from Laramie Tunsil.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Here we go. I didn't know what to expect from the moment I arrived in the city, but you embraced me and my family with open arms. More than just a place I played football, became home. Not just as a player, but as a man. Always hold a special place in my heart. Urban enrichment, second servings, strength, resiliency, and generosity of the city. Houston, you welcome me as one of your own. For that, I'll always be grateful. With love, LT. All right, so then,
all right, there you go.
Not much to that.
Thank you very much. Needed that. Evan says we can get 3 weapons at wide receiver with Emeka. Okay.
Well, I guess is he saying like it turns you into a 3 wide receiver? Like they're going to play 3 wide receivers a lot, so they need more wide receiver talent. So it does give you outside guy opposite Nico, not the same skill set, but like the same type of player with the ball in their hands. Kirk on the inside. Kirk can play a little outside for you. Emeka can block his ass off. Like give those 3 being your top 3. It's not the best wide receiver room in football, but it's not a bad wide receiver room. Like at some point, like somewhere on this team, just like we saw it with the defense last year, somewhere on this team, they're going to have to rely on a rookie on offense. I don't know exactly what that position is. Maybe it's a guard, maybe it's a tackle, maybe it's wide receiver, but they're going to have a rookie play in a key role because it can't just be a bunch of retreads and, poorly performing veterans on offense. Like they're going to have somebody that and again, when I say this, I want you to understand what I'm saying. They immediately trusted Kamari Lassiter to be cornerback 2. Very quickly, they trusted Kalen Bullock to be a starting safety. They're going to have to find one of those or 2 of those guys on offense that are rookies that play an important role on the offense, and they just trust them. And then how that guy plays will probably dictate how well the offense does.
I would say you could say they trusted Patterson 2 years ago.
Yes.
When they needed to. I mean, they were kind of forced to, but they trusted him. Yes. They trusted Tank.
Correct.
So I don't think it's just offense, defense. I just think it's going to look different than the impact that we saw last year. But yeah, it'll definitely be rookies. Back on the suit, Birdie Boy says, at what point should we be seriously concerned with the O-line?
May. Like if you don't like their options in the first week of May, like when the schedule is getting announced, if you don't like the makeup of the offensive line room, then you're not going to like the makeup of the offensive line room.
I mean, I don't think there's any way you like it. Like I don't know. Like if you,
but what I'm saying is, if you feel like they don't have enough options, or they didn't try hard enough, or they didn't do enough, then nothing's going to change from May to week 1.
Yeah, you're going to have to see it on week 1. There's nothing that they're going to do to where you're going to say, all right, I feel good about this. And I didn't feel good about it last year. So you're not going to feel good about it. The one thing they will have, though, it is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Be sure to subscribe, right along. We appreciate y'all. We're about 500 deep here a couple days after free agency. I have a guarantee on the O-line that will happen this year that did not happen last year. You might know where this is going.
Is this how big of a guarantee is this? Is this
100%,
like
100%.
Is this like it's like Mattress Max get you your furniture the same day guarantee?
I don't see. I've never ordered from Gallery, but I'm assuming
back orders.
That sounded like Chris Berman more than Mattress Mac.
I can't do a good impression of anybody. So,
yes, you can, Randy McElvoy.
Hey, tell me about this guarantee, Landry. Bitch on Sports Sunday for the guarantee. Call it the lock of the year.
So there's going to be
KBRC News, Channel 2 Sport, Click 2 Houston.
Just say roll the Mixon, please.
Roll that Joe Mixon.
All right, so my guarantee on the O-line, there's going to be competition.
Oh, yeah.
Last year in camp, man, it was weird because I thought it was a sorry group. I know you were putting Shaq Mason in the Ring of Honor next to Andre Johnson, but I thought it was a sorry group. No. And it was weird that Jared Patterson and Juice Scruggs Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green had no competition. Like for the caliber of player that they were, like you would think that there would at least be like a fake competition to where, hey, just let Kendrick Green go in there and maybe get like 40% of the first team reps just so that there's some sort of heat. Let Jared Patterson go in there and get, 35, 40% of the reps so there's some sort of heat. There was literally no competition on the offensive line last year, and it was really weird because even CJ Stroud had to compete with Davis Mills. So I thought that was a really weird thing on the offensive line, that there was no competition and the guys were just handed their starting roles. That's not going to be the case this year. We might be looking at some crappy players, but we were looking at crappy players last year. But the one thing that's going to be different is these guys are actually going to be competing for their job, unlike what they did last year at camp. And when we were watching on the side.
Yeah, there may be competition at all 5 spots depending on what the draft looks like and if they added a veteran offensive tackle between now and the start of camp, because they may have an idea of where they want Blake Fisher and where they want Titus Howard. Those guys may compete against each other to see which spot they occupy at tackle. Like you may see, we may go to the first day of camp and watch Blake Fisher at left tackle, and the next day watch him at right tackle. Just, and again, could be all 5 spots up for grabs. There's certainly a center competition between, at the very least, Patterson and Scruggs. We know guard's going to be, a fight to the death amongst these guys and hopefully some rookies. And then tackle, it feels like it's really just right now, it's Titus Howard and Blake Fisher, but who's left tackle, who's right tackle, that may be a competition between them as well. So, yeah, there's absolutely going to be competition after a year where the dream offensive line was handed their opportunity and it sucked.
Yeah, it was bad. But that's my guarantee. We'll get competition. We didn't get that last year. So I think that's there. What does Cooper Kupp cost? You already laid it out. You're thinking 10 to 12?
If he's got this stupid West Coast thing, like Mike Girardi said, then maybe it's 14, but 10 to 12. I do feel like there's some games at play, because all today,
everybody wants the West Coast. Everybody would rather be on the West than the East.
Throughout the day, it's well, the Patriots are interested in Kupp, but he might want to stay on the West Coast. A handful of teams are ready to offer Cooper Kupp somewhere around $12 million. And Kupp doesn't expect this to be a long, drawn-out process. He may not even take visits. He may just sign, which
you might need a visit, brother.
That feels like a try to avoid the physical thing.
Yeah.
So that was like a little bit of a red flag. It was like,
well, maybe he probably has to show up to sign at least. So he'll do the physical there.
If that was a dating profile, you'd be like, all these pictures are the same angle. What's going on here? So I would tell you 10 to 14 million. And I wonder if he's not even really truly getting those offers, or he's getting those offers from teams he has no interest in going to. Like, I don't want to play for the Patriots. I'm not going to the Patriots. I don't care if they're offering me 12 million, 14 million. I'll go play somewhere else for 10 million.
So the reason that this even reemerged yesterday is, and you know how it is, content. You always have the content brain where if something pops up, you jot it down on the phone. But I was watching NFL Network and the NFL Insiders. I don't know if you saw this, and you watched it.
Mm-hmm. I went back and listened to it on the podcast and watched it.
So Rappaport said that he believes that the Texans are still in play for Cooper Kupp despite Christian Kirk. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird because Rappaport's not really an opinion guy. He's also a guy who breaks the majority of the Texans stories. So if he's saying that, or he said they were in play is what he said. He didn't say interested, but he said in play. If he's saying that, I just don't look at that as someone just throwing something against the wall. So that's where I kind of really started thinking about it. And then I started thinking about, okay, 2 slot receivers, you naturally think Rams, and then you go back to the Patriots. But I thought it was interesting that Ian Rappaport said that.
It is a nice little slide in there for Rappaport that he just throws that in there. And look, you're going to need 5 or 6 wide receivers. In theory, you're trying to put the room together, like who's on the team already. We know Nico Collins, we know Christian Kirk. And I would say a healthy Braxton Berrios is your special teams guy that can also play wide receiver, not necessarily a wide receiver you want out there running routes and stuff. So that's 3 of 6 spots, and the other 3 up for grabs. You probably need a backup slot guy, or you need an additional slot guy, and just go to work from there, trying to kind of build out those 6 guys, 5 guys that you're going to have in the wide receiver room. So there's options and opportunity. They're full of defensive line, I would think. I would hope. There's probably not as many options or opportunities left for defensive linemen, but you can still add wide receivers to the equation. You can still add guards to the equation and create competition, have those guys show up in training camp, and hopefully somebody's ready and surprises you.
So I know a lot of people were upset by the Zeitler news yesterday. He's going to the Titans. I know you were probably one of those people.
Yep.
1 year, $9 million. I was kind of ranting on this yesterday on the night stream, which you can pick up 10:30 Monday through Friday. Like, did Mario Edwards, did you really have to give him 2 years, $9.5 million? Like, is there, like, at some point, like, could you sprinkle some guards? Like, I'm confused. It confuses me for a number of reasons. And we saw him trade for the guard today. It's just kind of a penny pinch thing. But what am I to make of Danielle Hunter and the investment that they've made at that position? Because here's the problem I have. I acknowledge that Danielle Hunter's a really good player, and I acknowledge that Will Anderson's a really good player. And I acknowledge that that is arguably the best edge duo in the NFL. I don't even know if you have to argue it. It's probably the best. And you look at the investment, and you gave Danielle Hunter more money than you've ever given someone annually, $20+ million a year, guaranteed. You traded the draft picks for Will Anderson. Yet you're still just handing out 1 year, $5 million deals to defensive ends like it's nothing. And a guy like Kevin Zeitler, maybe he sucks, but he's going for like $9 million. And on the other hand, I'm fine bringing in Darrell Taylor. I kind of thought that your superpower was finding guys like Derek Barnett for $2 million, not paying guys like Derek Barnett $5 million. That kind of feels Dalton Schultz-like. And now you're sitting here on the offensive line and you're trading shit picks for guards, but you're just stockpiling this D line. And it kind of goes, I'm not trying to like talk about what we talked about yesterday with like the defense has to be good, but it just seems like if you're paying this much to have the best edge duo in the league, that you probably, and you're good at finding guys to just put behind them off the street, you can probably invest a little bit on the interior of the offensive line, which absolutely sucks, instead of continuing to invest on the D line. It's kind of a little bit, I don't want to say frustrating, it's a little bit confusing to me.
I mean, you know what I would have done with Danielle Hunter in the situation he's in? I'd have probably given him a contract that, you know, nice and tidily wraps up right when the big money hits for all the other guys. And I'd have used whatever savings I acquire in 2025 from extending him to go get a guard. But I'm not Nick Caserio. But you're right. I would also say, like, how many special teams aces do you need? Like, you could take one of those special teams guys and one of the defensive linemen, have one less of each of those, and you'd have a guard. Like, you'd have Zeitler. And maybe they think Zeitler sucks. And maybe that's the reason. That
might be true. No,
it might be true. He's 35 years old.
Mario Edwards, 2 years, 9.5. I'm just like, okay. And Derek Barnett, he's cool, but like, he was cool because you found him off the streets and he was randomly contributing all of a sudden, and he was making $2 million. Now you're paying him $5 million. Like, it's just like, what, like, is Derek Barnett, for what he's been, is that a $5 million player? I mean, like, that's the confusing part to me with the way that they're just willing to throw around the D line. Like, I know that you can spend your money however you want to spend it, but it just feels like the investment is a lot, especially considering, and we're not even talking about the fact that you have Danico Autry too, and you added Sheldon Rankins. Like, you're adding all these D linemen, and you're just kind of, it's a scrap heap at the bottom for the offensive linemen. Maybe they suck. That's fine, but it's interesting.
I do. This would not be like the right approach to the conversation, but like, hey, like, we had an expensive offensive line last year and it sucked. Just because you pay them a lot doesn't mean that they're good. And it's like, okay, like, yes. The scariest thing about the offensive line is that the guys that got you, the guy that got you into the situation is the guy that has to get you out of the situation. That's the scariest part about it. Is Nick Caserio got you into that offensive line situation, and he, along with D'Amico Ryans, Nick Caley, Cole Popovich, had to get you out of that offensive line situation. And as you've put it a couple times this week, there's no reason to believe that Nick Caserio is going to nail it with this offensive line. He's not giving you, in his decision-making time, he's not giving you any confidence that his history is going to change.
No, there's no blind faith. Like it's based on a sample size. It's not set in stone. It can change, but there's no blind faith in the offensive line. That would just be stupid.
Can I sell you blind faith on the defensive line then?
Yes, but but are you neglecting the offensive line at the sake of the defensive line? I don't have any doubt that he's going to get the best out of these guys. I think it's going to be one of the best D lines in the league. I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying, is it going to be one of the worst offensive lines in the league too? And we're going to look back and say, damn, Zeitler, he's doing a pretty good job blocking for Cam Ward this year. Meanwhile, the Texans have two of the worst guards in the league shuffling. So, maybe Mario Edwards Jr. And the big raise to Derek Barnett wasn't really worth it because you got to give and take. That's the whole point of the salary cap is give and take. I'm not questioning what D'Amico does on the D-line. It's a give and take thing. Evan says on the soup that he trusts Caserio on draft night. Look at 2023, 2024. Yeah, and it's kind of in between because 2023, you had the 2 firsts. You had the loaded draft equity. 2024, you had no first-round pick. You had multiple day 2 picks. And then this year you have the traditional first-round pick. So it's kind of somewhere in between. We've never seen Nick Caserio with a traditional-ish looking draft. It's always been multiple draft picks or no first rounders. So this is the first time that we'll see Caserio and D'Amico work in that manner.
Well, you say that, and 3 weeks from now they do something goofy with the pick, and all of a sudden they got like 5 day 2 picks. You're like, what the hell?
Hey, I'll take that. Don't threaten me with a good time. Mark Cruz says, do you think the Texans will draft guard in the first and second round, potentially start? I really like Tyler Booker and Tate Ratledge up front for CJ.
So Tyler Booker is the offensive guard out of Alabama, and Tate Ratledge is the guard out of Georgia. We know they love Alabama. We know they love Georgia. We know they can go talk to those guys' former teammates about them. And if they talk to Will Anderson about Tyler Booker, they're going to draft Tyler Booker if they have the opportunity. That's what it feels like to me. Like he is – Alabama people say he was the Will Anderson of offense. He was a leader. He knew how to talk to guys. He turned it on for game day. He did all the work that he needed to do each and every week. And then Booker went out there and he wasn't athletic. And so everyone's like, well, this guy sucks. It's like, well, I mean, he's just not athletic. He went and mauled people in the SEC for 3 years because he basically, started right away at Bama.
Such a give or take there. I remember Orlando Brown's combine where he fell.
Yeah.
To Baltimore. Yeah. Like it's such a give or take. Sometimes it holds up. Sometimes it doesn't. It's such a give or take.
I mean, at guard, I'm a little bit more comfortable with you not being a super athlete because the action all happens right in front of you, right near you. Tackle, there's a little bit of athleticism necessary. Turns out Orlando Brown way more athletic than we thought. And then Tate Ratledge, tremendous. By the way, Tyler Booker, captain in Alabama. And then Tate Ratledge, guard at Georgia. He's played a ton of football at right guard for the Bulldogs. And again, another captain. They love those captains.
HDAV Traveler says the best person to impersonate is John McClain, who does not have a good general impression. LOL.
I read every one of his tweets in his voice. Thank you, my guy at the auto shop I've been using for 25 years.
He thinks he's doing him the biggest deed by throwing out he'll throw out his haircut lady reference. It's like, John, I don't want to say this. Screw it. I'll say it in just a sec. Preston says, I like our offense this year. Will be a great quick pass scheme. We'll see. But I always think it's funny when John McClain recommends his haircut lady, and it's like, dude, you're the last person that I want hair recommendations from. It's like, what? Seriously, no, I'll give him a hard time about this to his face. It's weird. When Sean Pendergast tells you to go to a place to get a suit, it's like, dude, I don't want to dress like you, homie. What?
Everybody catching strays today.
I'm just saying, when McClain shouts out the haircut lady, it's like, are you doing her a favor or what? When Sean sends you to a suit guy, are you like, damn, that dude's dripped out. I really got to go. I got to go get that. I love Sean. Sean's still my boy. Kick his ass at the charity softball game. Boots for Troops, which y'all should go to. Myself and Cody Stoots going to be co-managing one of the teams. But no one wants to dress like Sean Pendergast. Let's be serious. You want to eat, drink like Sean Pendergast? You want to talk about sports like Sean Pendergast? Maybe you want to go to a men's health spot? I don't want to dress like Sean Pendergast. Jake Eubanks on the soup.
I'm not adding anything to that.
He said, what happened to the hamburger bowl? It got eaten. It was in the fridge. Fortunately, the patties, they're whole, so you can chop them up yourself. Just throw the patties in there, and it was perfect.
Okay, gotcha. So no, the patty being whole is a game changer. I thought it was mixed into the bowl already.
Preston says, definitely got Landry's back. What is your effing thought process with the O-line? Yeah, we don't know. I mean, hey, look, these guys might stink. It's a lot invested in the defensive line when you already have the most assets that you can possibly put into edge guys. There's no way you can even come close to what the Texans have put into Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. And I bet their backups are as expensive as any other backups. Like if you look at the layers of the D line and you go from the 1 deep and then the 2 deep, I bet you the Texans 2 and 3. I bet you the Texans are way more expensive. And I don't just say Will Anderson on a rookie deal. You traded a first and a second for Will Anderson too, to move up. So you spent a hell of a lot on that edge.
Sorry, we're gonna have a fun little, what if thing here in a second, but here's my question. I remember it.
You're still stuck on the McLean haircut. Don't show off the same haircut, lady.
No.
Okay.
Here we go again. What's your problem with my haircut?
No, you have a good haircut. I'm just giving you a hard time. No, you have a good haircut.
Every time I get a haircut, you're like, you paid for that?
No, that never happens. This is a lie. I've never said that.
A year ago, we were very concerned about the secondary.
Yeah, they fixed it at the snap of a finger.
Were we more concerned a year ago about the secondary than we are this year about the offensive line, or are we more concerned about the offensive line than we were the secondary a year ago? I tell you, it's offensive line, but we didn't know what they were going to do in the secondary. And then they went and signed Jeff Okudah and C.J. Henderson. And we were like,
secondary is pretty rough, man.
And a year ago, by the way, we thought we thought Jalen Petrie was still playing safety too. Then they moved him to nickel. Their safety situation last year at this time, and their defensive backfield situation at this time a year ago was a disaster.
I'm damn sure not bald. You are crazy on that. Ain't no bald here.
People say you're bald.
Yeah, because I wear a hat. Birdie Boy says they are operating as if they lost the playoffs because of the defense, almost like saying your defense didn't do enough after the Lions. Oh, so he's saying that D'Amico's approaching this offseason saying that the defense needs to get better.
Can't lose a shutout, Landry. Can't lose if the other team scores 0 points, you will not lose. That's a guarantee.
Oh, they're going to have a good defense, man. They're going to have a good defense. There ain't no doubt about that.
You might have a bunch of soccer ties.
Sam says Loveland, Colston Loveland, Booker, E.E. Golden. They're at 25 pick. Oh, we got to pick one of these.
Okay, so Sam's offerings are Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end, Tyler Booker, the Alabama guard, Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State wide receiver, or Matthew Golden, the Texas wide receiver.
I'll take Egbuka.
I'm taking Colston Loveland. A, because I want people to panic for a day till they get to the second round. B, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to fall.
I don't believe so either. I believe he actually will go a lot higher than we think he's going to go.
Yeah, I think he's going to fall for sure.
Would you like some it's not breaking news, but if there's a guy that's kind of on top of this, there's only one guy to go to. Would you like a John Weeks update?
Sure.
Aaron Wilson is reporting that the 49ers are legitimately interested in free agent long snapper John Weeks. This very well could be the new team for John Weeks.
49ers are legitimately interested in Texans free agent long snapper John Weeks. Damn, was Shanahan here when Weeks was here?
Great question.
I know he was the OC for a little bit.
Great question. So Kyle Shanahan was in Houston until 2009. Oh, no, he just missed weeks.
Okay, just missed him.
He
Okay.
just missed weeks. Weeks got here in 2010.
Damn. They crossed paths. They were close.
Well,
Good for them. Good for him if he gets to go out there. Weeks is from Arizona, so or his wife is. His wife went to ASU. Amanda went to ASU. So if he gets to go to San Francisco, good for him. He's got his handful with those two daughters. It's kind of every time I see Weeks' family, it's like a warning sign because he's got the two daughters. One of them's like really like calm and like on top of it, and the other one's just nuts. And I'm like, which one is mine going to be? And he definitely tells me there's a big difference. So Weeks is always like it's like the angel devil, like adorable angel devil. I'm not saying bad, but like on both sides.
I'm going to ask you something that
I'll get Weeks on this offseason. I just don't want to. We'll probably get him on this. We'll get him on SNL. But I just don't want to bother him while he's going through this. Because I mean, it's kind of a stressful time.
John, don't leave me. What will he do without McClain coming in and asking him about Baylor?
McClain goes in there and asks him about Fairbairn. Nobody loves a kicker story like McClain.
I'm going to ask you a question.
If Denty falls, do you snag him? Yes. Come on. My question is that.
Absolutely. Or you get a king's ransom and a trade back. I'm going to ask you a question that Aaron Wilson asked me at the combine.
Hey, bro. Hey.
Did you see
Joe Douglas? Joe Douglas was in the hall, bro.
No, that's not what
Joe. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but we crossed paths. He was in Baltimore when I was in Baltimore, bro.
Aaron asked me if they really liked one of these long snappers, do you think they draft them at the back end of the draft?
No.
And I said, Aaron, I'll lose every bit of faith in the entire organization if they do that.
Well, you don't even want a kicker.
No.
Harris hates punters. By the way, John Harris confirmed guest in April. I'll make it an SNL thing. It was a locker room thing. I'll make it an SNL. I'm a team player. You got to have at least one team player on a duo. I'm a team player. I got it. We'll make it a duo thing.
Anybody else hearing this bullshit?
No, we'll do it. It'll probably be a midday stream, might be a night stream, but we'll do it on here. And Harris will go for a while, so he can talk. So we'll have it very well organized. We'll have it very well laid out, and it'll be a draft extravaganza. I'm anticipating us being at least 1,500 deep when we drop that. Promise.
I will tell you this, and John Harris, and I consume.
I love John Harris more than any human being in this market, and I think he is one of the smartest, most thoughtful guys in the world, and I love his work.
I consume a tremendous amount of draft content. I really do. Nobody matches up the encyclopedic knowledge with the enthusiasm when John Harris talks about the draft. Nobody. Not Dane Brugler, not Daniel Jeremiah, nobody. The enthusiasm and the information combined, encyclopedic information on these guys, nobody has a better combination in the entire conversation about the draft than John Harris. It's incredible.
Yeah. He also is the king of the thoughtful text message. Like it's in depth. It's very in depth. The texts are long.
I do, and we'll get him to kind of reveal like the John Harris favorites, but it was always fun watching, like, I tweet about, hey, this guy talked to the Texans or whatever at the combine. Then Harris would send me a little text and be like, really like that guy. I was like, okay, well, I put a little star next to his name as I keep learning about him. If Johnny likes him, I bet you I'm going to like him. That was good. I love John Harris. He's the best.
So I'm ready to do something that I said I was never going to do. Yeah, everyone be sure to like the video. There's a lot of people looking out for that. Be sure to like the video.
And this is the moment of the video where we tell you, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel, damn it. Like the video. I'm ready to buy in, dude. I had left this business for a good 5 years. I never hope to return, but I'm in on the offensive line coach Cole Popovich. I am in on Cole Popovich. I set out every offensive line coach after Mike Devlin. I'm in on Cole Popovich. I'm hearing he's a hardo. I'm hearing he's a hard ass. He stood up for his rights in New England, and he found his way to being the offensive line coach for the Texans. And when you hear one voice, I think that one voice is going to be Cole Popovich. Not Laramie Tunsil and the staff. It's going to be Cole Popovich. So I am all in on Cole Popovich, the offensive line coach. I'm here.
What'd the aliens do with the real Landry?
I'm in.
What'd the aliens do with the real Landry?
I'm in on the O-line coach.
What in the world? The last time we talked in depth about offensive line, like a big offensive line conversation, I nearly had a coronary, and you made me make this face. I was furious with you in that entire conversation about Chris Strausser, this, Cole Popovich, that. What did the aliens do with the real Landry Locker? This was the last time we talked about offensive line coaches. You're like, I don't care about him. It's like, what are you doing?
I'm in, dude.
I will say, the ability, ability is probably the wrong way to phrase it. That guy's the basically hand-picked offensive line coach after Dante Scarnecchia in New England. Stands up for what he believes in, has to go coach high school football, and makes it all the way back to the NFL. That's pretty freaking awesome. That's pretty freaking awesome.
I'm in, dude. We're good.
He does have he does have a great look.
It's a hard man.
He looks like Chris Strausser. He didn't really look like he, coached up the offensive lineman. Looked like he was.
I think he's a hard ass, man. I think Cole Popovich is a hard ass.
Probably is. It's probably be necessary for this offensive line room.
We'll see how it goes.
Now they cloned Landry. Yeah, it's like when they cloned Chappelle. No, we thought they wouldn't. We thought they wouldn't notice.
Clone Kanye. Do you think durability becomes an issue with Will Anderson Jr.? I don't. I mean, he plays hard. Chance he gets banged up. He always tries to play though. Kyle Vance, do you think Booker could drop into the second? I do.
I do as well.
Jake says SNL mock draft ? Those are coming.
There will be plenty.
April's coming, so we'll get there. I want to talk to Popovich. Dude's a effing hero in my eyes. And I bet you he had something to do with this Tunsil thing too.
I would have to imagine so.
He can't like that.
No.
He can't like that.
We've talked about this. He was in the offensive line room. He watches it all happen. He's the assistant offensive line coach. Everything happens. He's not the guy that's the boss. He's not the guy that decides anything, but everything happens. Guy he knows comes in to be the new offensive mind. Head coach asks him, "What do you think about this offensive line? Hey, we like you. We know you like us. You stuck around because you had other opportunities to leave," as Nick Caserio pointed out at the combine. What do you think? And then I bet you Cole Popovich just, boom. Here's my manifesto on this offensive line. This guy, nope. This guy, nope. Keep this guy. We can do something with him. Keep this guy. We can do something with him. We need this type of guy. We need that type of guy. Get this guy out of here. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, and we'll see what he can do, man.
I love Roadhouse, one of my favorite movies. It's great, Byron. Well done.
Look at this guy, man.
Be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Cole Popovich just looks. I mean, he just looks like a hardo, dude. All of his articles are about not taking the vax and leaving New England. Marquise on the suit. Appreciate you, friend. So yeah, we'll see how it goes down. But I'm there.
For the folks who don't know what Popovich looks like, let me throw a picture up.
Yeah, he's ready to coach. That guy.
All right, now let me put up a picture of Chris Strausser.
That's what we're doing. We're doing the picture thing.
Well, yeah. Why not? All right, so there's Cole Popovich. There's Cole Popovich, and here's Chris Strausser.
Jeez, dude.
Cole Popovich, Chris Strausser.
Yeah, we're picture
Cole
the picture judging. Yeah, Popovich gonna be nice. All right, so there we go.
Look, I say it with a little bit of jest, but they clearly think really highly of this guy. And they clearly believe he's going to help the offensive line, especially the guys that are holdovers, and he's going to be good with the guys that they bring in. So they are betting a lot on Cole Popovich being good at his job. And that's going to be part of the offensive line improvement, is that their bet pays off on him.
It's the bet. And they are adding guys, just not a lot. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bacon cotton candy? Really? Really?
The people wanted me to taste it. I'm a man of the people.